This is Stories from the HR Frontline. I'm here today with Olivia Walsh from CBRE. I'm sure you're seeing a lot of changes right now around how people are viewing working and the workplace in a more virtual world. What are some observations you might be able to share with us?
What we have seen over the last couple of months, and particularly as people have been coming to grips with this new work from home arrangement, has been this sort of dual aspect of some level of flexibility where people still want to have an option to work from home. And then the other aspect of people really yearning to get back into the office. That's what we've been preparing for. That's what we've been working on. And also, I would say that a really important factor of safety, reopening office space when it is absolutely safe to do so, having the right level of planning and preparation. So when employees do come back, they are equipped, they understand some of the new protocols, they understand and are able to get themselves really set up well in this new way of working.
Any sense on timing for a lot of organizations? Are you seeing a lot of return to work at this point, or is a lot of it moving into 2021?
We're definitely seeing the return to the office space, not at full capacity, sort of 20%, 30%. I mean, we have the majority of our offices in Canada have reopened. I know our London team have returned to the office several weeks ago. Where I was previously based in Sydney, Australia, I think they're back at this point. It's at least 2 months. But going back in a very calculated, a very supportive way. On the other hand, there are office areas that are in, whether they're in certain cities or states, that are still closed. We are assessing them every week. We're supporting our clients with doing that. Again, there's sort of no explicit guideline that we're seeing. It definitely is a blend.
How have you navigated, these crises? What was your experience, moving, your workforce online?
It just has been the year of the pivot. I felt, I declared that to my team in March because we all kind of started the year with these beautiful strategic plans in January, intent. Anyone who works in a talent or a learning and development function knows what it's like to be a planner, organizer. However, as the world changed and as we all got to grips, I was just very excited and just genuinely humbled at human resilience and the way people cared for each other, and just the best examples of teamwork I have ever seen in my career. And I say that, using my own team as an example. I say that as well from what I've seen within the business, how groups got together, and how people really did say in moments when COVID presented us with things we've never experienced before, how do we do this together? And I do remember at one point we were looking at some COVID support training for our business. How do we help our employees? How do we help managers and leaders? And myself and my team were really looking at this challenge going, wow, well, we're not experts in COVID response, but we kind of have to get there. And how do we really come together to put out something to help and support our wider business?
Anything that really surprised you, about the shift?
I think there's two things that stand out. I do think the adaptability of how people really got to grips from mass working from home. There definitely was a sentiment that I had heard where, leaders were wondering, can we do this? Can people really truly be, driving productivity outcomes? And what are we going to do about, beloved programs that we usually go to, we usually come together and do in person? How are we going to run a strategy meeting on Zoom? And I do think there was, some just genuine moments where people didn't believe that we could do that. And absolutely, we've been able to step over that hurdle. And I do think working from home has become just so much more accepting. And on a fun note, I have admired the creativity that has come from that. So how teams have really brought ideas forward of how do we stay connected? How do we have meaningful one-on-ones? How do we have the tough conversations and make critical business decisions when we're doing it over a screen and we're not doing it in an office? And then the second point, we launched our new learning platform in February of 2020, and it truly could not have come at a better time. We were able to launch meaningful learning. We were able to get it into the hands of our people in a quick and simple way. And I will say there was a moment where I heard from some leaders within our company who had never really engaged with learning playlists or had never really sort of taken the time to go through sort of a guided learning experience, really adapt to that and use that and complement it then with share sessions around their vulnerability as a leader. I think this year has really showed me there is such a movement in empathetic leadership, humility. We don't all have the answers. And I do think that has been quite overt in the teams that I'm supporting within our business when they've really openly had to say, look, we've never had to do this before, or I don't know the answer to that. There's no script, there's no playbook. So I do think that whole aspect of empathetic leadership and really leading with humility has been very strong.
We keep hearing about sort of this humanistic, kind of leadership that you're sort of talking about. How do you think about that shift in leadership?
We have a very approachable leadership team within CBRE. They like to be in the spaghetti making with us. They like to share their viewpoints, and I do think what was important was just really openly working with them around, well, what is the most critical things for you right now as a senior leader? And we took the same approach for our management group and then for our employees as well, having tailored support mechanisms for them. It was different for people depending on what stage they were at. So there was a moment where how do we really work from home effectively? So, whether it was kit and setup, getting people really acquainted with this new kind of virtual world. And then on the other end of the scale, just, how do we make sure that the wellness of our employees and really supporting good practices around, taking time off, supporting family members. There has been just a real level of agility, and how do we pivot to the needs of what people are going through. And I do think in the next sort of 3 to 6 months as well, again, there's just going to be this absolute blend of, at one point it's about supporting people from a wellness, a resiliency perspective. And then on the other hand, it's, how do you maintain productivity? How do leaders really continue to drive outcomes in a long-term virtual arrangement? So there is just this sort of continuum of, dialing it up when needed and just having support and an offering available. So we've had a lot of touch points with them. We continually refresh. We're continually thinking about, okay, how can we be responsive now to the things that really matter?
This link between wellness and resiliency and productivity. Talk a little bit more about that.
So even as we've been, really getting to grips with sort of having just a great core and a great foundational offering of support, there has been that aspect of, we've really tried to look at, well, what do we have in terms of great products, great support? I will tell you, one of the awakenings I also had around this experience of trying to support wellness in the workplace was, just genuinely, we have a lot of things out there. I'm sure a lot of companies are the same, that they would have, really good EAP services. They would have in-house support and wellness teams. There's a lot of components with this. For us, it was that whole thing of how do we just render this down into the most simple way that employees can get their hands on it. They can choose the avenue they wish to pursue. So one thing I think that was really enlightening was when we started looking, we just saw hundreds of options to help our teams with. And how do we sort of really simplify that down so people can just pull on whatever support mechanism they need. We've really tried to build some really good practices into team meetings, so having wellness moments to kick off meetings. So when leaders go into team sessions talking about openly what are some of the practices that they're doing, and whether it's going for a jog every morning, whether it's having some rituals in the evening. So when you finish work, shutting down your laptop, kind of that whole close off of the workday, really trying to bring those into more forums with their employees. So simple things, but simple things that really just have really big impacts. You know, we've had our most senior leaders reach out, whether it's through Zooms, whether it's through videos, in forums with employees, talking about the need for balance and the need to really have a strong level of commitment still to our clients. We have a big culture around how we support our clients. It's definitely one of the most ingrained aspects at CBRE, but how to do that in this new way of working. I will also say we've had tremendous support from our on-site team. We've definitely had a proportion of our team members that have gone in every day, people that are building services managers, people that are in data centers, you know, really ensuring that the lights, the engineering, the whole system continues to work. So there has been that aspect as well. We still haven't forgotten about the people that get up every day and physically have to do that. So we've injected some different mechanisms for them, and really just sort of looking at this, that it's not the same one size fits all for everyone.
How has L&D sort of played a role in diversity inclusion during this time?
Our L&D team had some pivots as well this summer, which I know that many other companies did, when we were all presented with supporting much more of a overt conversation in the workplace around race at work. One of the things that really does stand out to me is how we responded to that, and how, as I'm sure many other companies did, you know, having a very verbal expression of how we do want to have more change, and how when we haven't been successful enough at it in the timeframes we've set, what are we really going to do from a commitment perspective? We've definitely made our leadership programs. We've absolutely looked at ways in which we can pivot those into more agile offerings. You know, I think that's part of the beauty of how we work together at ExecOnline. It doesn't matter whether someone is long-term work from home, whether someone's in Singapore, whether they're in different markets, that they can go and have a supported leadership experience. So we've absolutely maintained our commitment there, and also our strategic focus as well. So my team, even actually this week, we were presented with a new challenge from our business around a new deployment that we want to do for our managers on how to continually lead with an inclusive mindset. And we've been designing, we've been curating, and just looking at ways in which we can factor in some of the more contemporary issues that are out there into that content, and seeing much more of a willingness into how do we really flex that now for the more immediate needs. And I do think that whole aspect around immediacy in offerings, immediacy and being able to curate, deploy learning solutions, definitely been a topic that I think is going to continue.
You know, so how does this all come together as you kind of think about, you know, how learning and development will continue to evolve at CBRE?
We've hit on a couple of themes that are important. I think resiliency, you know, leading with humanity, leaders that are agile in their approach are some of the themes that I see. So, you know, really ensuring that we are not stepping away from the commitments that we have around succession planning and preparing those leaders. I do think there's another vein around how our workforce is changing in terms of people that may not want to go back into the office, having offerings and having ways in which learning can still continue to have a broad reach. There's definitely some aspects around looking at age in the workplace and how people are thinking about maybe potentially retiring early. Have we again got this good pipeline of talent to come up and support changes that may be happening there? I definitely think tech is one of the areas that will continue to enable learning and strategic direction going forward. However, as great as the piece of technology is, look what is going into it in terms of content. And I think presenting end users with less is where there's going to be much more of a pivotal focus. I know there are some fantastic products out there, and when people are much more on this kind of self-driven journey, and when they look for something around, how do I be more impactful at change management, presenting them with two meaningful options rather than 50 options in an LMS or in a learning system. So really, how do we learn to get better as learning practitioners at rising the cream to the top, I think is definitely a challenge and a great opportunity in the learning community. And even if I think about just some of the ways in which I'm sort of working with my team, we definitely are looking at things much more with an enterprise mindset. So in CBRE, we're very much a global company. We've got people in many pockets of the world. We have people that do very significant things in some of our unique business lines. But really, this aspect for me around reducing repetition, really trying to come together at, here's our COVID response support tools. Here's what we've got on how to really drive employee engagement at that kind of more centralized enterprise level, I think is really important.
What have you learned personally, about yourself from all of the upheaval?
I do think for me, the whole aspect of really ensuring that my wellness is a priority. And I have really injected rituals in my day to really ensure that, I am, at capacity, or I can perform at a way where I've got clarity of thinking. I also think as well, just being very comfortable not having the answer and sort of being able to say to my team, look, I just don't know. And I've had these moments this year where, we've had to pause all our in-person training because, we just don't have the opportunity to bring people together. And then really being asked by my team, well, look, when can we do that again? When do we think CBRE University is going to happen? And being quite comfortable to say to the team, I don't have that answer. I found that to be sort of a refreshing moment where, and again, anyone who's sort of a talent or learning practitioner, we have that planner organizer DNA. We're always kind of, thinking ahead and I'm kind of pulling back the timeframes now and feeling really, really comfortable with that.
How is ExecOnline, helping support this transition that you're going through?
I would say earlier in the year, when sort of things started to really unfold, the partnership around the Leading with Uncertainty program was just truly fantastic. We put a bunch of our senior leaders from, again, all different business lines, different countries, and they enrolled in that offering. And along with them being part of a cohort in the sort of ExecOnline world, they really also became a cohort internally as well. So one of the things that kind of sparked from that was those that were on the group, they said, you know what, could we maybe work together on some of the things that we have learned through the program, and how do we deploy that or distill that amongst our team? And I do think as well, just having the level of flexibility around, look, we can have support for people across varying different geographic boundaries. And I do think this aspect of, having an offering that, regardless of where someone is based, they can log on, they can explore. And what I've also found interesting, just even in the last couple of weeks, just having some more insights into what you all are seeing in the industries that you support. What are some of the common themes? I think, seeing some aspects around, transformation in the workforce is still such a powerful area of focus for business. How D&I absolutely exponentially is becoming much more of a riveted focus for businesses, and just seeing some great levels of support there. So I know it's been different. I know we've had to flex on timeframes. I always respect how, you all are very supportive of us, because it hasn't been a normal year. We've had to lean out at times for certain programs, and we've had to lean in for others. And I've really just valued that level of flexibility and just understanding where we've been at as we've been, trying to go in different directions and deal with things that we've never had to deal with before.
What advice would you give other HR leaders, as they're preparing to, for building sort of future-ready leaders?
My recommendation is don't stop. I think in times like this, when there is uncertainty, where there is so many components that are just impacting people from a professional perspective, a personal perspective, and then some of the economic factors that are out there, it is time to double down on your leadership investment. Keep moving with those initiatives, flex them, change them with the needs of your business. And I do think, part of the benefits of what I've seen, particularly in the last 6 to 7 months, is, again, that creativity. Just because we can't bring people together in a beautiful workshop series doesn't mean we can't have immense value at how we develop them and how we support them for the future, and doing it in different ways. So that would be my encouragement to other HR professionals out there.
Thank you very much for sharing your perspectives today, Olivia.